speak into it, yeah? We're going to pass it around. We're going to have an extension cord. Okay.
Maybe you should go a few years, few more years.
How's your mother, buddy?
She's a little better today, you know, it's a good sign. I think maybe finally the vibration is starting to work.
Baruch Hashem.
But it's a day-by-day thing, but yeah, I think today was an improvement.
Good. Excellent. Very good. Okay, welcome Moreno. Okay, 1 second. Answer. Hello? Hi. I'm going to call you back in 1 minute because I'm going to call the whole group back.
No problem.
Thanks. Bye. Okay, let's see again. This thing is. Why is the man? Ah, here it is. Okay.
What is my name? Here's my name is not here, no way.
What's going on? Hi. Okay, let's try it. Decline. Okay, you have everyone here. Oh, that's why she's not here. Oh man, technology. You see what technology does? Decline. I don't need this. Why is Robin Moreno? I had it before. Here. Select. And. Beautiful. Now we have it. Okay, we got the connected again. Okay, for some reason, let's see, everyone is here. Okay, beautiful. It's working. I see a lot of screen. Oh, a lot a lot of faces. Okay. Okay, here we are. Okay, so we're ready. It's working already. Oh boy. Okay, good evening, everyone. Tonight we have a lot of people who are Skyping, and it reminds me of this story of this congregant who goes to his rabbi. It's in Erev Yom Kippur, and he tells him, Rabbi, you know, tonight is Kal Nidre. It's a holy day of the year, one of the, I would say, the holiest day of the year. And therefore, I have an issue, I have a problem. The problem is that I am a Yankee fan, and tonight is a big Yankee baseball game, and I don't know what to do. I want to watch the game, but I want to be here for Kal Nidre. What do you suggest, Rabbi? So the rabbi tells him, what's the big deal? You could record. Didn't you hear about recording? So you put it on a timer and you record it. So the congregant tells him, Rabbi, you mean that I could record the Kal Nidre service? So the fact is, there's a way of connecting today, which is Skype, which is great. But it replaces people coming, and if you could come to the class and be physically here, great. If not, so you could definitely connect through Skype. So I'd like just to go through quickly a summary of the Parashat Vayechi, which is the last parasha of Sefer Bereshit, and it's talking about Yaakov who is reunited with his son Yosef. Last week's parasha we see that, and in this week's parasha, Yaakov is giving a blessing. He gives a blessing to his grandchildren Ephraim and Menashe, and to all his children. And it's talking, at the end of the parasha, it's talking about the death of Yaakov Avinu. So what I would like to do tonight is to speak about leadership. And as we know, the one who was, there's an echo, the one who was Okay, so the one who was chosen to be the leader is Yehuda. And there's actually three choices that could have been made. One of them could have been Reuven. The second one could have been Yosef. And the third one could have been Yehuda. Now, why would it be Reuven? Reuven will be an easy choice, because Reuven was the Bechor, the firstborn. Besides that, he is the one who convinced his brothers to throw Yosef into the pit instead of killing him. So therefore, because of that, he was a leader. He shows his leadership, and therefore he should be the leader. He should get leadership job. The second one is Yosef. Why Yosef? Because Yosef is a leader par excellence. Through all his life, we see how he's a leader. He becomes the viceroy of Egypt. Wherever he is well looked upon. People like him. He's a good politician. He knows how to bring people together. He knows what to do at the time of distress in Mitzrayim. Therefore, that would make sense for Yosef to be the leader. And the third one is Yehuda. Why Yehuda? Yehuda is persuasive. He knows how to convince people as well as Yosef is. He convinces his brothers to sell Yosef. Why to sell Yosef? Because again, they wanted to kill him, so instead of killing him, sell him. He also protects Binyamin. In last week's parasha, we see how he protects Binyamin. Why? How does he protect Binyamin? He protects Binyamin when he goes to Yosef and he says, Vayigash elav, that he really stands up for the rights of Binyamin. And according to Rashi brings a midrash that even if Yosef Yehuda has to start a war, he is ready to start a war in Mitzrayim. Why? In order to save his brother Binyamin. So here's another choice that Yaakov has. And who is selected? Yehuda is selected by Yaakov. Out of these three choices, Yaakov selects, the father selects Yehuda. The question is, why would he select Yehuda? Why Yehuda? Why not anyone else? Why not Yosef? And why not Reuven? So, and here are the questions. You could see it on your sheet of paper. Number one is, by what criteria is Yehuda selected for leadership over his brothers? What does he have that the other brothers don't have? And number two is, are there any specific characteristics or qualities that disqualify Reuven and Yosef from the leadership role? Is there something that Yehuda has that they don't have? Or is there something in their leadership that doesn't make them, in their characteristics, that doesn't make them into a leader? So this is what we'll try to explore tonight. So let's look at the approaches. At first glance, it seems that Reuven should be the leader. Why? As we said, he's the firstborn. And he is the one who wants to save Yosef and therefore ask his brothers to put him in a pit. Why does he not get the leadership role? The answer that is given, one of the answers, is because Reuven reacts without thoughts for the ramifications of his actions. Which means that he doesn't think before he acts. He acts and then he realizes, oh, what I did was wrong. How do we see it? So, we look at the Torah, in Perek Memtet, chapter 49, Pasuk Dalet, verse 4. And what does he say? when Yaakov gives the blessing to Reuven, what does he tell him? It says, "Pas pahas kamayim al totar ki alita mishkevei avicha, as chilalta yetzui ala." It says in the Torah that you cannot be foremost. Why? Because you mounted your father's bed, then you desecrated him who ascended my couch. What is he talking about? So Yaakov tells Reuven that you cannot be the leader. Why? Because you mounted your father's bed. What does it mean he mounted his father's bed? So there are different opinions about it. The Radak says the following. The Radak says that Reuven, after Rachel passed away, Reuven had relations with Bilhah, who was the concubine of his father Yaakov. Why would he have relations with his father's wife? Because he figured that she was a concubine. She wasn't really his wife. And because of that, he had relations with her, according to the Radak, according to others. But the fact is, there's another reason. And the other reason is that Reuven, what he does is, after Rachel passes away, Yaakov takes his mattress, his bed, and removes it from Rachel's tent. She was the beloved wife that he had, the most beloved. But when she passes away, he takes out the bed. And where does he put it? He puts it in Bilhah's tent. Reuven, what does he do? He's upset. Why? Because he said, okay, Rachel passed away. Who should be, where should the bed go? Yaakov's bed, my father's bed. It should go into my mother's tent. Who was his mother? Leah. And therefore, what does he do? He takes the bed out of Bilhah's tent and he puts it in his mother's tent. Now, if we think about it, it makes sense. Why? Because after all, Rachel and Leah were sisters. Who comes after Rachel? Leah, the sister. So he did the right thing, but there's one issue. He acted without asking, without consulting his father. He's acting out of emotions, not out of logic. And because of that, Yaakov tells them, because you mounted your father's bed. You mounted your father's bed, and because of that, you took your father's bed without permission, and because of that, since you think you are acting without thinking, you cannot be a leader. A leader is someone who is going to think before he acts. He's going to ask around. He's going to consult. He's not going to work out of emotions.
I have a strong comment here. Why Yaakov's decision seems awkward in my mind. Yaakov himself, Yaakov's decision is wrong here.
Why?
Because he gets emotional because of Bilhah.
No, he's not getting emotional.
He
No.
gets, his ego
He's
gets
not at all.
overwhelmed
Not at all.
because his son slept with his...
Well, that's one opinion, but we're taking the other opinion that says that he took the bed out. And if he took the bed out, why did he take the bed out? Who gave him the right to do so? It is true that he's doing
doesn't ask permission.
it is true that he's doing it out of honor for his mother. He wants to
And
honor his mother.
A leader doesn't ask permission.
He has to ask permission.
Not a leader.
Yes, definitely.
No.
Definitely.
Show me. Where?
Definitely. You have to consult.
Does,
if you are, unless you're a dictator, that's a difference.
Come on.
But
He
if you're
doesn't
not,
have consulted.
if you are not a dictator, you consult your advisors, you consult your people, because you have to live with the people.
Okay, then you consult. But then
But
it
the fact
doesn't
is-
sense that,
But the fact is he did not. And since he didn't, That was an issue that Yaakov had, and because of that, he says, you cannot be the leader. That's one thing. Now, the other thing is, also, he convinces his brothers, Reuven convinces his brothers to put Yosef in a pit. Why does he do it? He has good intentions. What are the intentions of Reuven? To save his brother, to come later on and to take him out. Which, by the way, didn't happen. Which, by the way, didn't happen. Which it didn't happen. Why? Because when he comes later, it's too late. They already sold him. Where was he? There's different opinions. Rashi says that it was his day to be with his father Yaakov, to take care of his father, to live with him, and because of that, since he left and he came back, it was already too late. But the fact is, even though he had good intentions, there was one issue. Did he think what was in the pit? You put someone in a dark pit. Do you know what's inside it? The Torah says, when he's speaking about the pit, ve'abor rek en bo mayim. The pit was empty, there was no water in it. But Rashi comments, aval nechashim ve'akravim yesh bo. But there were scorpions and snakes in it. And miraculously, Yosef was not bit by them. But still, the fact is, Reuven, how could he be a leader just thinking, emotionally again, I have to save Yosef, so therefore let's put him in a pit. What do you mean put him in a pit? Maybe it's not a good decision. Who knows what's in the pit? And because of that, since there's a lack in leadership in the way that the leader has to decide, because of that, he is not chosen to be the leader. Another reason is when the brothers go down to Mitzrayim and finally Binyamin is taken by Yosef. When Binyamin is taken by Yosef, imprisoned by Yosef, by Yosef, so why does he do that? Because as we know, they found the silver goblet in Binyamin's bag, pouch, and he is in prison. So they go back to Israel, and when they go back to Israel, to Canaan, Eretz Canaan, to their father, what happens then? Before that, I just mixed it up. One thing. When they reveal to Yosef that they have a brother, which is Binyamin, then he asks them to bring Binyamin down and he imprisons Shimon. So when they go back up, what happens is, when they go back to their father, to Yaakov, and they say, we revealed that we have a brother, and Yaakov is upset about it. Reuven approaches his father, and what does he say? He says, give me Binyamin, and if I don't come back with him, what's going to happen? I'm going to kill my two children. This is the guarantee that I'm giving you. Now when Yaakov hears that, he's not interested. Why? He says, this is foolish. Who is going to say such a thing? That if I don't bring back your son, Binyamin, I'm going to kill my son, my two sons. Doesn't make any sense. So again, he's speaking out of emotion. And because of that, when Yaakov realizes that, he thinks to himself, this is not going to be the right leader. And therefore, he's not chosen. So, let's go into Yosef. Why is Yosef not chosen? After all, Yosef is, as we said before, a leader, a great leader. He is second in command in the powerful Mitzrayim, Egypt. Why wouldn't he be chosen to be the leader? Because Yosef has an issue. And the issue that Yosef has is that he is an outsider. He is an outsider in many ways. And you can look in the Psukim, if you look at Perek Nun, chapter 50, Pasuk Tedvav, verse 15, it says the following: "Vayir'u achar Yosef ki met avihem." The brothers saw that their father passed away. Vayomeru, and what did they say? Lu istemenu Yosef ve'Hashem yashiv lanu. They say, perhaps Yosef will nurse hatred against us, and then he will surely repay us all the evil that we did him. Why did they say that? Because they don't feel connected to Yosef yet. He is like an outsider. He's not part of the family in a sense. And in Mitzrayim as well. Even though he was the viceroy, the second in command, he was still what? A stranger. So therefore, in order to be a leader, you cannot be an outsider. You have to be among your people. You have to be among your family. And if you're not, this is lack of leadership, and therefore Yosef is not chosen. So what's so special about Yehuda? Why is Yehuda chosen? What did he have that the other brothers didn't have? What did he show that the other brothers didn't show? Actually, from the outset, Yehuda seems an unlikely candidate for lasting or for being a leader. Why? Because, as we said before, he is the one who suggests Yosef sail. So if he wants his brother to be sold, it seems that he is lacking sensitivity. And a leader should have sensitivity. He fails also with Tamar. Tamar, who was his daughter-in-law. There was an issue. What was the issue with Tamar? As we know, she gets married. The first son of Yehuda dies. Then the second one dies. And then the third one, he doesn't want to give it to her because he feels that he's going to die as well. So he keeps her like that, agunah, chained like that, for quite a few years. Till finally, he recognizes that what he did was wrong. But the fact is, he should have taken a leadership role and do something about it, not leave her like that, chained. So why is he chosen? We find something special about Yehuda, something unique about Yehuda. What is it? He remains one with his brothers. How? Because we see that even though after Yosef is taken down to Mitzrayim, Yehuda feels responsible in a sense for what happened. And therefore, Yarad Migdulato, Rashi says that he comes down from his leadership or from his greatness and he separates from his brothers. Eventually, he gets back with them. He is one with them. He's not an outsider. He's part of the brothers, he's part of the family. And therefore, when he comes back to be part of the family, part of the brothers, they go down to Mitzrayim, they come back, they tell the father, the Yaakov, Benjamin, you have to take him down. Who is the one who convinces Yaakov that this is the right decision to do? It wasn't Reuven, as we said before. It was Yehuda. What does he say that convinces his father? And we'll look at it a little bit later, we'll analyze it. He says to him, Anochi e'erbenu. I'm going to be responsible for him. And if I don't bring him back, I'll sin to you, towards you, my father Abba, Yaakov, all my days. So, when Yaakov hears that, he is convinced by it, and he lets Binyamin go with his brothers. Now also, interestingly, the Torah singles Yehuda out. When they come down to Mitzrayim, they go down to Mitzrayim, it says, who came? Yehuda ve'ehav. Yehuda and his brothers. Why would the Torah single out Yehuda? To show that he is a leader. That he's taking a stand. That he's doing something. And also, we find it with Tamar. What do we find with Tamar? When Tamar, as we said, is chained, finally what does she do? She disguises herself. She goes into a public place. Yehuda sees her. He doesn't know that it's his daughter-in-law. He lives with her. She gets pregnant. After she gets pregnant, 3 months after she's pregnant, they see that she's pregnant. And they ask Yehuda what to do with her. Death penalty, because she was still chained. She had to get married with the third brother, she didn't yet. And as she goes out, and she has, as we know, she took some signs with her that belonged to who? To Yehuda. The seal and the staff. And she doesn't want to embarrass him. So she says, the father of the children that I'm carrying is the one who owns this staff and this seal. Now Yehuda could have kept quiet. And no one would have known. What does he do? He stands up. He says, Tzadka mimeni. She is right. I am wrong. And this is what a leader is all about. Leadership means to say...
He was still cornered.
Leader, he wasn't cornered because no one would have known. No one would have known.
That it's his?
Exactly. No one would have known.
No seal? The seal?
No one would have known. Even with the seal. No one would have known. He would have taken the seal. But the fact is... Yeah, but the fact is... He stands up. And leadership means to say sometimes I'm wrong. And that's what he does. Also with Binyamin. The one who is standing up to defend the rights of Binyamin, it is not Reuven. It is not any of the other of the brothers. The only one is Yehuda. Vayigash elav. He stands up against the viceroy. I mean, it's chutzpah to do so. But he does. He's not scared. And he speaks to him passionately. He wants his brother to come back with him. And he shows also through that the idea of tshuva, of repentance. And Yosef realizes that. How does he show, how does he express his tshuva, his repentance? Because since he was responsible for Yosef's sale going down to Mitzrayim, to Egypt, now he doesn't want to make the same mistake with Yosef's brother, Binyamin. And therefore he stands up. He takes a stand, he speaks passionately, strongly, he does whatever he can in order to get Binyamin back with him. And this is leadership. And if you look at the pasuk in Perek Memtet, chapter 49, verses 8 to 10, Chet to Yud, it says the following. When Yaakov gives the blessing to Yehuda, what does he say? Yehuda ata yirbucha achecha. Yehuda, you, your brothers, shall acknowledge, which means that you will be the king, you will be the leader. Yadecha be'oref yoivecha, your hand will be at your enemy's nape. Ishta'avu lecha b'nei imecha, your father's sons, your father's sons will prostrate themselves to you. You will be the king, you will be the leader. Gur Aryeh Yehuda miteref b'nei Alita, a lion cub is Yehuda. From the prey, my son, you elevated yourself. Karar avatz ke'aryeh uchlavim yekimenu. He crouches, lies down like a lion, and like an awesome lion who dares rouse him. No one will dare to start up with Yehuda, he will be the king. So he's saying it clearly. The scepter shall not depart from Yehuda, nor a scholar from among his descendants forever. For Shiloh shall arrive, and his will be an assemblage of nations. We're talking about the idea of Mashiach. Mashiach will come from Yehuda as well. And yet, this is the idea of leadership. Now, there's one point that's, a few points to ponder. And this is the following. Yehuda says to his father, when he wants to take Binyamin, Anochi Erbenu. I will personally guarantee him. Erbenu, the word in Hebrew, comes from the Shoresh Ayin Resh Bet. And what is Ayin Resh Bet in Hebrew? Ayin Resh Bet is a mixture. To mix things. And you could look at your paper, there's a few words that I printed out. One of them is, that comes from the same Shoresh, Erev. What is Erev? Evening or night, which is a mixture of light and darkness. Ta'arovet. Ta'arovet in Mechot Kashrut, in the laws of Kashrut, is a mixture of meat and milk, for example. Or taref, not kosher with kosher. Okay? So again, it comes from Arab, which is a mixture. Eruv. What is Eruv? Eruv could be, for example, we have Eruv Hatzerot. What is Eruv Hatzerot? Eruv Hatzerot is in order for a courtyard or neighbors in a courtyard to be able to carry on Shabbat, what do? They mix. What do they mix? They take a piece of bread or a matzah and they put it somewhere, and through that it belongs to who? To all of them. This is how we do an Eruv as well in the city. The way that we do an Eruv in the city is that there is a matzah or a box of matzot that belongs to everyone. So what is an Eruv? An Eruv is not necessarily a string that makes you carry, but it comes from the idea of le'arev, to mix up when people mix with each other. You have Arov also. What is Arov? Arov was one of the plagues that wild beasts that Mitzrayim got. What was it? A mixture of wild beasts. So again, it comes from Arov, the Chayot. Arov. לא, גדול. גדולים. Okay, so it's wild beasts mixed together. And you have also Arev. What is Arev? Kol Israel Arevim ze baze, as we say. Arev is more than responsible. It's not necessarily, it's more than, it's deeper than responsible, because when we look at the text, it seems that what? That When Yehuda approaches his father, he tells him, I will be responsible for Binyamin if anything happens to him. But it's more than that. Arevut, Arev means that you have people who are mixed together, who are caring for each other. And this is what we say in Yalkut Shimoni says, Kol Veinon, Kol Israel Arevim Ze Bazeh. That every Jew is responsible for another Jew. It's more than responsibility. It comes again from Arevut, mixture. The idea of care. The idea of being in pain when someone else is in pain. And the one who introduces us to this idea of Arevut is who? Is Yehuda. Yehuda is the one who is coming in the Torah and is saying, Arevim, I'm going to be mixed on my heart. The heart of Binyamin is my heart. And whatever he feels, the pain that he feels, I'm going to feel. And whatever he's going to go through, I'm going to go through. And therefore, because of that, he is the one. Because of that, Yaakov agrees that Binyamin will come out, will go down to Mitzrayim. And more than that, the idea is, through that, Yehuda is chosen to be the leader. Why is he chosen to be the leader? Because he's showing the idea of Achdut, the idea of unity, the idea of feeling for someone else, the idea of mixing up with other people, and so on and so forth. And because of that, because of all these great leadership qualities that Yehuda shows, he is the one who is chosen to be the leader. And by the way, that is why we are called, what's our name? Yehudi. We are called Jews. Why are we called Jews? Because of Yehuda. The fact that Yehuda had these great characteristics. So that is why a Jew also has